murder. Do you have anything to say?
He had made a written statement which was handed to us. On that document, Colin Ireland said that he was the person in the photograph that had been published in the paper. He was with Emmanuel Spiteri that night, but hadn't gone in because when he got to the door there was a third person inside the address, and he turned then and left because he didn't want to be part of that. Essentially, Ireland was deadpan. He just kept silent, wouldn't talk to us.
I think he was confident enough to think that he could blag his way through it.
So how long have you lived in Southend?
Having arrested Ireland for the 5 murders, he was then to be conveyed back to Islington Police Station. I sat in the back with him. I tried to engage Colin Ireland in conversation. The driver of the vehicle, listening to Colin Ireland speak, recognised his voice as being the same voice that he'd had on the telephone.
During 2 days of interview, he never opened his mouth, never said a word.
Once the question was finished, he just turned back and stared at me again. It was really, really difficult. I then told him that we had a fingerprint, and that shocked him. He wasn't expecting it. And it was the only reaction we got throughout that whole interview. But once he'd recovered himself, he went back to just staring and didn't respond any further.
The police had what they needed to charge Ireland with the murder of Andrew Collier. 2 days later, they charged him with the murder of Emmanuel Spiteri. Ireland, on remand in prison, remained silent for weeks. Before suddenly finding his voice.
I'm the gay serial killer. Tell police I want to confess.
And confess he did.
I wasn't forced to do this. I wasn't. In fact, when I was last interviewed by the police for 5 days, I said nothing on tape. I then spent a month in prison considering my mental state, my outlook on what had happened, and I probably didn't come to a final decision until maybe yesterday. I wanted to create a situation where I couldn't really back out of my decision, so I deliberately spoke to the prison officers regarding this. I said I was intending to change my plea to a plea of guilty. I think I should be placed in a position where I can no longer inflict harm upon others.
One of the things you find with serial killers is that they will deny everything until they know they're faced with all the knowledge that the police have, all the same knowledge they have, then they will admit it straight away. It's part of the game, and if they're holding the cards and they have more cards than the police, then they will carry on denying it. But once they realise the police have the same number of cards they have, they own up.
The day after Ireland delivered his frank and horrific confession to police, they charged him with the 3 other murders of Christopher Dunn, Perry Bradley and Peter Walker. Unlike other high-profile serial killers, Ireland pleaded guilty to all charges, meaning there was no need for a full trial, only the need for a judge to pass sentence. By any standards, you are an exceptionally frightening and dangerous man, he said. In cold blood and with great deliberation, you have killed 5 of your fellow human beings. You killed them in a grotesque and cruel fashion. The fear, brutality and indignity to which you subjected your victims are almost unspeakable. To take 1 human life is an outrage. To take 5 is carnage. You expressed the desire to be regarded as a serial killer. That must be matched by your detention for life. Ironically, by pleading guilty, Ireland made sure his fame would never match that of other multiple murderers like Hindley and Brady, Sutcliffe, Nielsen or West. But his crimes were every bit as evil.
It was devastating for my children. My son took a very long time to get over it. He thought he'd got a new dad and he hadn't, and it took him years and years to get over it. I'm not even sure that he has now. And then afterwards we felt relieved because it could have been us, and we thanked God that we were saved.
To have known someone personally who then you find has behaved in that way is quite frightening, quite disconcerting. disconcerting for yourself to discover that.
I am quite surprised that he was never considered a psychopath. As far as I know, that was never brought up, never suggested, but I feel he didn't have any remorse.
And as with every serial killer, a further question remains. Were there other victims? Ireland has since boasted to a cellmate that there were many. Detectives think there was at least one more.
Has he killed any others? One particular case in January of 1993, a man living alone in Southland, a gay man, had actually been in a call-hern. The body was found. It was treated as a sudden death, and the dogs, through starvation, had eaten the owner. I think that troubled him, and that was probably, he didn't want to confess to that because of how the body was found.
The truth, only he really knows. But what we do know is that tragically Colin Ireland's New Year's resolution came true. He got his wish after all and became a serial killer.
I can't say why he did it. Whether it was for fame or whether it was to be somebody, to be noted, to be recognised, I don't know, but I just don't know.
Well, coming up, Alistair Stewart highlights some of Britain's most dangerous highways, byways and motorways. That's for Police Camera Action next here.